On Abbey Lane, in the village of Lundwood in Barnsley, South Yorkshire, is Monk Bretton Priory. Now in the middle of an urban setting, the priory is in ruins, but it is still quite miraculously detailed. Monk Bretton Priory is under the guardianship of English Heritage, and the organisation Friends of Monk Bretton Priory make sure it's not forgotten, with lots of support from the group Jolly Good Communities. This is truly one of Barnsley's hidden gems, so join us and let's discover this fantastic piece of Yorkshire history together. Where we are right now is the gatehouse, which as you can see is remarkably still quite intact. This would have been the porter's lodge. The gatehouse was built in the 1400s to the 1500s and, much how like it greets visitors like you today, it was also used to greet visitors back when it was built. The abbey was founded in 1154 on land from local landowner Adam Fitzwain, grandson of a Saxon lord. But what exactly is a priory? A priory was a monastery that was under the leadership of a priora or a prioress, and usually consisted of either monks or nuns. The word is derived from the medieval Latin word prioria, and first came into use as the word priory in around the 13th century. Priories were places where the nuns or monks would live and serve God. But there was more going on here than just prayers. This is the administration building, a rather formal and modern sounding building and a surprising structure to have on a priory. It was built around the 1200s and was used as a place for monks to gather taxes and possibly hold meetings. But this isn't the only surprising structure you'll find at Monk Bretton. This unassuming circular stone structure would have been a cider press. Here they would have crushed their own apples and made their own drinks on site. They also grew their own herbs here too. Priories and abbeys were often self-sustaining, would often make their own produce, including doing their own farming. Not only did they provide for themselves, but they also provided for the needy and the local community. It was founded as a Cluniac monastery. The Cluniac reforms were changes inspired by the perceived corruption in monasticism, instead trying to focus on traditional values such as art and helping the poor. It gets its name from the monastery of Cluny in Burgundy, which was founded in 909 and was founded by William I, the Duke of Aquitaine. Monk Bretton was actually a daughter house of Pontefract Priory. However, it was not harmonious between the two. Pontefract wanted direct control of Monk Bretton, which led to fighting and arguments. Ultimately, Monk Bretton actually left the Cluniac order, and it became a Benedictine house in the late 1200s. The Benedictines were founded in the 6th century and followed the rule of Saint Benedict. The priory is thought to get its name from the nearby village of Monk Bretton, as it was originally called Priory of St Magdalene of Lund. The village was originally called Bretton and is thought to have taken its name from the monks of the priory. Monk Bretton actually enjoyed quite a peaceful life after this. It played a huge role not just in the local community, but in the Yorkshire community as well. It worked coal and ironstone in the Barnsley area, as well as owning properties across South Yorkshire. By 1538, it housed 13 monks and 1 priora. However, in that very same year, Monk Bretton Priory was to close during the dissolution of the monasteries. The dissolution of the monasteries, lasting from 1536 to 1541, was a policy carried out by Henry VIII. He had declared that he was the head of the Church of England, and so to reduce Roman Catholic power, and also to take the wealth that monasteries owned, he ordered that they all be suppressed, aka closed down. Monk Bretton Priory was closed in November 1538. Almost immediately afterwards, the fantastic material that once used to build this was stolen and used elsewhere. Here in the north aisle of the church, for example, the columns that once stood tall here were actually taken and used to build the church in the local village of Wentworth. Even after its closure, Monk Bretton was still used by the local community, albeit against their will. William Talbot, the Earl of Shrewsbury, bought the estates in 1589. He had some of the areas converted into a country house for his son, Henry. Although it might look like a bunch of old rubble nowadays, these stones actually tell their own story, if you know what to look for. This small doorway up here would actually have been where the prior would have entered the church, and this magnificent structure up here would have been his fireplace. These large square holes behind me would have been where his cupboards were, and up here on the walls in front of me, the smaller square holes would have been where the floorboards were inserted. These stones have survived for nearly 900 years, and whilst they might just look like a place just to walk around now, when you're here, you're standing where history is. Now, these ruins are a place for local people and tourists to come visit and learn about this incredible piece of Barnsley history, or take their dog for a walk, or simply enjoy some local scenery. But we're here today at the Priory to have some fun. We're here to step back in time and experience what life might have been like back in the medieval period. There's jesters, fair maidens, knights, brave warriors, but there's also food, drink, mead especially. There's archery practice, axe throwing, all that people might need to have fun and really step back in time and live life like they were living it all those hundreds of years ago.
Our pleasure. I'm Peter Barnard and I'm here with these great guys. We are de Mowbray's Music and we're playing some medieval music at this great event, and we're singing. Might even get a bit of dancing done as well. So we've been going for a few years. We got into playing this sort of music in lots of different ways. So we've all had individual journeys, but we all have a background in folk music and folk singing, and a long history of doing that, gradually morphed into doing things of an earlier period, whether it's Tudor and now medieval. So we're fascinated by the music and the singing, and we're fascinated also by the instruments. So we've got a whole range of instruments out with us, so quite a lot of woodwind and some strings and percussion. So the very emblematic sound of the Middle Ages would have been a shawm sound. This wooden instrument, it's got a double reed at the top. It plays a bit like a recorder, and when it grew up in later centuries, it became the oboe. And they played these in families, and Andy's got a little one somewhere. So alto, soprano, sopranino, and you just have different starting notes on them. So wonderful instruments, as I say, made of wood. And then in this period, they were played outdoors for civic music. So the Waitspans, who would have been Barnsley's civic musicians, would have played for visiting dignitaries, special occasions. They would have marked the start and finish of every day when the gates opened and closed. Probably also given people an alarm clock wake-up call as well. In this period, they're used to accompany dancing when it's going on inside, and you'd have a couple of the larger shawms and an early sackbut. Yeah, okay. The other set of instruments we've got here in particular, got lots of these. We've got 3 sets of bagpipes, so if Andy gets his bagpipes. So we've got a very early depiction of a bagpipe. So this one has no drone on it. So if you think of your Scottish Highland pipes, you've got a fan of 3. This has got no drone on it, an early bagpipe. Probably in this country in the mid-1200s, something like that.
When people see you pick up a cow horn, they think you're going to pick it up and like that, do a Robin Hood. No, you blow it from this end. It's got holes in it like a recorder, and you can play it just like the recorder. And that's called a gem's horn. And that's the gem is an early type of goat. So originally, people surmise that they would have used goat horn, but later on they become a cow horn. And there's the gem's horn. The only place you see the word gem's horn these days, or gem's horn, some people say, is on a church organ stop. They very often have a big mellow sound, and they pull the stop, and that's usually called a gem's horn. But there's a real one.
Public corporal punishment was a popular way to penalise the petty criminals of the 16th and 17th centuries. One of the most famous ways was this, the stock and pillory. Criminals would sit or stand in the stock, and people would throw rotten food or even stones at the criminals. It was used to punish crimes such as drunkenness or swearing. You had to be a particular type of pest to find yourself in one of those.
Crimes against filmmaking.
1, do your wish!
We are the dawn of chivalry, and we bring you knights! Knights! Another delight. Let us take you absolutely not. You know. And he yields, so once again, St. George wins. And it's no wonder you are Billy No Mates. Right, thank you very much everybody for being a wonderful audience. Can we have a huge round of applause for our musicians, Democracy Music? Can we have a massive round of applause for our fighters? Ladies, take your helmets off, show your faces so they can see.
So what did you like about today then?
I enjoyed throwing sponges at my dad,
Well, yeah, I loved it as well. But we've enjoyed everything, haven't we?
and I definitely come back to throw more sponges.
For more sponges to
Yeah.
chuck at me.
Yeah.
How dare you? Yeah, it's been a lovely day. We'll come back next year.
I guess we come here all the time with the dog to Monk Bretton Priory, and it's just really nice to see loads of people actually enjoying the space. And obviously he's just enjoyed the jester. But yeah, it's really good. A good atmosphere.
Do you reckon you come back?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Love to hear it.
Right, so yeah, we're just finishing off with Medieval Mayhem. So we just want to say a massive thank you to the over 5,000 people that have joined us this weekend. It's not possible to put things in like this for events in Barnsley unless we have loads of volunteers. They've worked really hard this weekend to make sure all those people got to enjoy the event. So big thank you to them, and thank you to our funders for the event, the National Lottery. I'm losing my voice because it's been so busy, but it's been a fantastic day. We've had knights, jesters, fighting, we've had axe throwing, archery. The Friends group have been displaying the history of the place, so I'm just glad everyone's come to enjoy it, and I'm just glad that we've been able to get, you know, people experiencing the medieval past and where Monk Bretton Priory, you know, originated, the times that it was around, and it just gives people an experience of that they will never get to do anywhere, and it's local, it's on the doorstep, and it's free. So if we can try and keep the event free, that would be amazing.